Let's go to Uganda, where the government says it will spend 132 billion shillings to procure mobile tablets to be used in its first ever digital census, which is slated for August this year. According to the executive director of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Chris Mukiza, the agency is to deploy 110,000 enumerators, each with a tablet, with the unit unit cost pegged at 1.2 million shillings. That's quite a lot.
All right, the 10-day exercise, which starts on the 25th of August, is expected to cost 373 billion shillings, with government providing 339 billion, while the remaining 34 billion will be externally sourced. Joining us this morning from Bunyoro, Uganda, is economic and political analyst Nasser Biira Kiwanuka. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for hosting me.
I'd like for you to shine some light on first of all, we're hearing really enormous figures. The people of Uganda are excited about this. Does this, do they in any way consider this exorbitant? And the president, or the report we've just read out, is that it's about 34 million or 34 billion that will be externally sourced. Where is this external sourcing coming from?
Okay, first of all, I want to underscore the importance of a census to any country, especially when it comes to its economic planning, but also when it comes to this political, economic, and strategic decision making. Then too, it is expected that Uganda will source 90% of its census funding from its national budget, and then 10% will be externally funded. Specifically, they are targeting the UN agencies, in this case, the United Nations Population Fund. But the most important thing here is that improving the census from the previous census, which was largely manual, is very, very key. And I think the biggest question of the day is how much is the citizen paying, but also is the money, value for money in this technology or in the tablet and the process itself important. And by and large, Uganda has largely been scientifically showing that a lot of its activities are funded locally, when in real sense, our parliament approves at least loans that are long-term, almost every week of its parliamentary sitting. So by and large, we expect this to be more of aid and also loans from external sources.
Okay, well, it sounds like a lot of money, but I also want to talk about the census itself. How often does Uganda carry out a national census? And how important is it at this time? Is there a reason this is being considered?
Okay, well, according to our laws, population census is done every decade. So we expect after this census of 2023 to have another census or 10 years later. So, and ideally, our National Planning Authority is in charge of, the Uganda National Planning Authority is in charge of the population census. But what is key is whether this census or the information, the data gathered is useful. I must say that at a strategic level or at a macro level, it is very, very important. And indeed, it is used for planning, for resource distribution, for assessment of the poverty indicators, and Uganda is structured in such a way that we've got affirmative regions that are extremely considered to be poor. So this population, this census is very important. However, what is very critical is for us to understand that Uganda's government runs an insensitive budget, extremely expensive projects, and when I talk about projects, I mean initiatives like a population census like this. And above all, there is a limited link between one process and another process. For example, ideally, the current census technology is not linked at all with any other census technology that was done in 10 years ago. And also, for example, the tablets that are open market tablets, for example, is averagely $200. That is equivalent to Ugandan shillings approximately 800,000. But the budgeted cost of a tablet is ideally $350 plus dollars, implying that it is inflated by close to 40%. So what is important here is that we would, for example, expect the data technologies that were used in the 2011 elections to link to this census. However, what happens is that we run like we've never run a country, we've never run any project, we've never started any initiative. For example, the tablets that we are going to buy, which is approximately 110,000 tablets, after the 10 days, they will be rendered useless. They will be not linked to any MDA, ministry, department, or agency of the country. There will not be any idea that they will become personal cell phones. So by and large, the use of ICT is a plus in my view. However, what is very important is the value, is the link to other processes. And then the last thing is whether this is a priority in terms of investment worthiness, and also how this priority link to other priorities. For example, according to the National Development Plan 3 that we are implementing, government is supposed to link with one another, ministries, departments, and agencies, which we do not see in these procurements. And maybe the last thing is that Uganda runs generally across board an inflationary procurement process. So you would expect that this procurement is like any other procurement in the office of the Prime Minister, is like any other procurement in other ministries, departments, and agencies, which are over and above manned by inflation and bills. So to me, that is where the problem is. And then finally, maybe is whether this census is useful in the general macro and microeconomic spectrums of the country. For example, the private sector does not use this information. This is ideally more of the government using it. So how do we link census, the census process, to the entire life of the country, to the entire development process of the country is the key issue here.
Well, so a lot of angles to look at this from, and of course, I hope the Ugandan government understands, what it's doing at this time, and maybe also, what effect this would have on its economy. Maybe at a later time we might also go deeper and to figure out who exactly is producing these tablets, and who's making money, from these deals. But if it's important to the government, then it's a different conversation. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'd like to speak with you again and, expand on these conversations. Thanks for your time.
A pleasure. Thank you for hosting me.